Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining the Competitive Adventure Talks, presented by Kager, also known as Craft Analytics Group. My name is Roy Weinstock. I'm an MBA student at MIT Sloan. It is my pleasure to introduce the presentation of Raising to the Revenue, NASCAR's data-powered sales engine. Please join me in welcoming the speaker, Nathan Blum, Managing Director, National Ticket Sales and Strategy.
All right, my name is Nathan Blum. Super excited to get the opportunity to chat with you guys today. I'm representing NASCAR and our sales infrastructure, and with all the excitement and momentum on this upcoming season that just kicked off, excited to talk about how the sales team is leveraging data to really maximize that opportunity as we move forward. So we're going to touch on a few things: who we are, our sales team, the lead lifecycle operations, as well as sales talent operations. Starting with a little bit about who we are in our sales team and our model. Myself, Nathan Blum, Managing Director of National Ticket Sales and Strategy. I help oversee the sales leadership team, who oversees the actual sales team, who are driving revenue for all of our properties that we own and operate across the country. I was employee number 1 in 2017 of building out our outbound sales strategy and team infrastructure, and have been on a very long road since that moment in time of going from no CRM to where we are today. A little bit about our structure. So our sales team is broken out into 4 regions of account executives teams and leadership, as well as an inside sales team that focuses on all of our properties across the country. And so these regional leadership teams plug in with the different marketing, PR, comms, all these teams regionally with the tracks to help drive strategy as well as revenue. One core difference is coming from the traditional sports side earlier in my career. Oftentimes the sales team is broken out into product focus, and where we are really, each team is really driving revenue across all product mixes, starting with individual tickets, season tickets, club, hospitality, et cetera, VIP experiences. So it says challenges, but I like to think of, as a sales guy, challenges or opportunities really. Coming into a event-based business, my current career or previous career before that in a season model, is really, when you think about a sales team's leverage and ability to drive revenue, oftentimes the most peak opportunity to do that is using face-to-face relationships. So when I got here very early on, our renewal cycles would start months after the event itself was over. And so one thing that I really wanted to focus on is getting that sales cycle to a real 365 sales cycle. So one thing that the data was really showing us in an event-based business is the further away from the actual event that you purchase your ticket, the more likely you are to return year after year. And it makes total sense when you think about, we're trying to take patrons from a one-weekend event type of patron to being a patron 365. So if you purchase your tickets for the Daytona 500 in February of this year for the 26 event, you're more likely to be a patron, tell your friends, drive referrals for us, and really help become a year-round patron. One thing that's really unique about us is, in my career before NASCAR, we really, driving real estate sales. So you're thinking about selling that plastic chair, and on the group side, maybe the FEP, where you have a few experiences tied in. At NASCAR, we run the gambit of the product model. So we can sell you that plastic chair and that real estate to really enjoy the race, but there's a lot more that you could purchase. So think about everything from camping at our facility for a full week and what that entails, that the atmospheres of the different campgrounds throughout a full 7 days versus just coming to an arena for maybe a 3-hour period. All the way up to VIP experiences. Something very new and emerging through our partnership with Elevate is that we're selling big-time access to our drivers and teams and to our facilities. So that could range from jumping into a pace car at 7 a.m. and doing laps around the track, all the way to really exploring the garages during an event, which is a super immersive experience. And really the idea here is the more experiences you can stack on top, the more likelihood that we're going to build fandom that really builds retention long-term and lifetime value. A little bit about the lead life cycle. This is really excited about this moment in time. So when you think about a sales team, traditionally, we all have our core campaigns that we work on. Oftentimes that would start with renewals, and then you have the people who haven't been in a year. A lot of like core campaigns that are ran every single day throughout all sales teams. And really, folks in this room and others across the country on the data side, you're looking for what are the 60, 70 data points that really qualify this new buyer to be ideal to leverage a sales team's manual power of a phone call or a meeting. And so oftentimes for us as sales leaders, and whenever I was an individual contributor, the leadership's really asking for this dynamic type of lead from the data team when they can get to it, right? It doesn't really have a lot to do with when are these new buyers at their peak moment of interest of buying our product. And so that's what we're really working on right now through something that I call what we call direct intent. So rather than the 60 data points, we're really looking for the 1, 2, 3 type of data points that are closest to what we believe to conversion, and getting those into a conversion sequence starting with marketing, and then with no conversion, jumping over to the sales team to try to get people to convert. That if I was to convert this in my own life, I've got a 6-year-old son, Braxton, and whenever we're in T-ball season and he's bugging me to go to the Daytona Tortugas, which he does, and he did, we go to 3 or 4 games. It's the first time that we really win as a family. But that multi-game buyer type of lead, if I'm only served a sales team interaction on the sales team's time and not my peak interest, the odds of conversion goes down. So ideally, if you're converting our business to traditional sports, what you could look at is when are these multi-game buyers prime? And that would probably be in that 3rd game window, somewhere around there. Let's get them into a conversion. Let's pitch them that up the ladder type of product, which is really exciting and what we're working on right now. And with our work with Kager, some really interesting things when we looked at what are we doing to get opportunities closest to conversion. So one thing they dive deep, we use a powerful tool called Outreach that can allow our marketing team to inject schedule call opportunities earlier in the funnel to try to get people to hand raise. And one thing that happens when that occurs is all the stats that come along with it really increase. So if we can get you see an example here. If we can get a prospect to book a time with us, 41.4% of those meetings are converted by the sales team within 15 days, which is really high conversion rates. When you think about connection to call, also 40 points higher, which is really exciting for us, especially when you think about NASCAR's database, millions of people. We're only a very humble team where we can't call everyone, right? So we need this type of moment in time and technology to help drive really good conversions. Also, if you think about money is time, these folks who are scheduling that appointment integrated with the sales rep, money is time. So if they are taking the time to say, hey, I'm available at 3 o'clock, most likely what we found is those prospects are, the cart sizes are way higher than the average sale. And really we're talking about getting people from top of the funnel directly to the bottom to conversion really quickly. So if we wanted to test direct intent, looking for not the 70 data points that may qualify a lead, but really the 1, 2, 3, 4, the lowest hanging fruit there is obviously an abandoned cart, right? So if you put our product in your cart, you're probably pretty qualified. So with this test, we set up an abandoned cart journey where I'm sure the folks in this room have a robust strategy around marketing and really your digital ecosystem. And what we said, hey, let's bolt on to this direct intent, leveraging the sales team, and let's see what happens. And the results are really, really strong. So we were able to double the revenue through 24 of the abandoned cart campaign that is traditionally written only by the digital marketing team. All right, lead engagement. So how we're leveraging data here. So we do drive a Ferrari. I know that's not a Camry, Ford, or on our cars, but we do have a tool called outreach.io where today, when I said earlier in the presentation, really, whenever I started, we didn't even have a CRM system. Today, we're not working in CRM either. So we're actually working directly out of this tool called outreach.io, which you can think of this tool as I and our leadership team get to be Bill Belichick. We get to call the plays, right? Leadership team builds a unique journey, which if you're on the marketing side of the house in this talk today, looks probably very similar to journeys that you guys are working on the digital side. So we get to call the plays, build out the sequences, drop the very unique to whatever segment this is or whatever campaign it might be in. And then we get very clear access to that data as a sales leadership team. So we're seeing, right, the answer rate. We're seeing the reply rate of the emails. We're seeing how many appointments were booked through this sequence, X, Y, Z. We're able to A/B test a lot of things in there. And something that Kager really helped us identify for efficiency is where's the drop-off rate in a sequence that may be 10 steps to where it might not be worth our time to continue those touch points past 5 or 6, right? Whatever that may be. And so we're able to create efficiency and make sure our team is calling the people that are closest to the sale. And that's what we want to do with our limited resources that we do have. So really, when you put this all together, focused on how we're getting the right leads at the right time to our sales team, we're looking at optimizing our journeys specifically that our sales teams are leveraging, and then really, what does that conversion look like? How can we get it there? It's really, when you put that all together and you work on efficiency in every step of the process, it really helps inform key decision making. So whether that's lead allocation, staffing sizes, which is always a hot topic, goal setting, or go-to-market strategy. Are there things inside of our sequences that can really inform on the marketing side? What is resonating with our fan base and our consumers every single day? And maybe there's some optimization that we can swing over to the digital team as well. Sales talent operations. This is something that I'm very excited to chat with you guys about. So how we leverage data. All of what we just talked about, in my humble opinion, does not matter if you don't have the right salespeople in the room to maximize the opportunity. So we have a very, in recruiting, it's a very art-based business, right? You are looking for feel and your experience to help drive who are the right people to put into this room, right? That's going to help push our business forward. For us, we have the art process, and then the very last step is pure science, and that's injecting a DISC assessment. For us, we're looking for 2 core behaviors, 2 core motivators, and for us, 3 of those 4 need to be above the mean naturally for us to put you into our program. And what this really does, I say this to Carrie all the time, is this may break your heart on the front end where you fall in love with a prospect. You think they're going to be the next best thing, and it may break your heart because they don't necessarily disc out. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't break your heart at the end of the day when you have to have really hard conversations about moving on or performance improvement plans, et cetera. And our success rate on who we put in the room, specifically inside sales, then feeds through our whole ecosystem is very, very high. And this is a little bit of a silver bullet for us that we help to really give an advantage in recruiting versus all of your teams out there, all of your leagues. And I could spend 20 minutes talking about just this. So it's really a core part of who we are. Performance evaluation. So I got to talk to a Pro Football Focus guy earlier. So are you guys familiar with QBR? In the NFL, it's how you get a numerical value for Aaron Rodgers, right? And that's stacked up against his peers. For us, if you think about the uniqueness where we basically have these 4 regions that, for all intents and purposes, could be considered 4 different businesses, right? The average ticket price at Daytona may be $1,000 for a cart, where somewhere at a different track may be $200, right? And so coming up through sales, for myself as an individual contributor, oftentimes it was your revenue number and that's about it, right? And so what we wanted to do is develop a way that we can take an aggregate score similar to QBR that we call AER, real creative, obviously, to really help us, really identify not only their standing on our staff, but where can we help them in a more dynamic way. So if the revenue's not there, the hustle better be there, right? If the hustle's not there, but the revenue's there, what's the true opportunity cost of if we can get a little bit more hustle out of this one individual? And so it's really a core part of who we are and how we develop salespeople. In the past, you'll see the top graph there, very manual. We would pull these KPIs, and today we're using a platform called Ambition, where we basically program these KPIs, get the aggregate score, and it's live for the salesperson at any given moment throughout their day, right? So it's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. Rep A will know exactly where they stand on the aggregate AER, as well as against all the metrics stack ranked against their teammates. I love the intro of an NFL game where it's like Nathan Blum, linebacker, he's 78th out of 80. That's tough. And so this gives that opportunity for us in gamification and also just how we work our whole, our floor hire as well as our top performers hire. In summary, a little bit about us, who we are, what we sell, what we do, a little bit of how we're working on a new lens of how we're working in new leads into our sales team's hands, and then to close it out, it does not matter, in my humble opinion, it does not matter how awesome your models are or how dynamic your decision making may be. If you don't have the right people in the room to maximize revenue, then you're going to fall short. Thank you very much. Catch us Sunday at 3:30 because we're in Phoenix. And again, wanted to get through the information, but I'm always open on LinkedIn for a conversation around any of these topics, as I love sharing best practices and learning from everyone in this audience about what's really working for them on how we can make our business better.
Questions, anyone?
Can you talk a little bit about the Ambition? Is that a tool that you guys use, like a third-party platform?
Absolutely. So Ambition is a third-party tool. It connects in with, so we use Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics for CRM, and then we have Outreach that sits on top of that. And so you can API both in, right, into Ambition, and it's basically like a data aggregator of everything that a rep may do throughout the day. It's very, very powerful. We're big fans of this. So, things down to very simple, like what's your rep's goal for the year, right? You program all of that in. It's actively tracking, and the reps have an interface as well as leadership has an interface, right? So the rep can see, hey, I'm 125% to my goal for January, which means X, Y, Z for the year. From my shoe, I can look at the health of the full organization with very clear lens. It's almost like sales team Tableau, right?
Where does the rep see their
Sure.
in CRM or within?
Yeah, so it's its own URL. It's its own website. So basically, it's a home page that they have that's basically like their dashboard, as if Damian Arbuckle from our data team has an analytics dashboard on our whole team. Like the rep actually has that for their individual business. Down to they can click a metric or a metric button, and they can see all of our KPIs, where they stack rank against their teams at any given time, down to pretty much every 10 minutes.
Anyone else?
Thank you. This is pretty impressive. I'm curious, so this is all on the ticketing side right now, right? Has
Correct.
this been applied or thought been applied to a partnership side as well?
No. No. So on the partnership side, they're working out of Dynamics, but no, not to date. I'd love for that to be the case.
We have time for 2 more questions.
I was going to ask, how do you look at the different spaces in, I guess, like a NASCAR area? So you have your premium, your non-premium. Does that come into play in any of this?
Yeah, so our reps are full menu, right? Which is not real unique, but usually in a traditional team, there would be everyone may be full menu, but then you have your departments of focus, like your premium team, your membership team, your retention team. For us, with the head count that we do have, they have to wear all those hats, right? So I would say we are in charge of driving the premium club inventory. On the suite side, the partnership team really is in charge. We support and vice versa on club. But we're really, it's unique. Like I've heard a couple of the folks chat, I think it was the Panthers, about really like how do you hand off this opportunity they've identified that could be a club buyer. It's my belief that you want to have that salesperson who brought them to the dance, have that type of conversation with them and open up the opportunities and move them up the ladder. So our team's really focused on, if you're a single game buyer with a $70 ticket, we're asking those questions to try to get them up into maybe a full suite lease, right? But it is the same team. One uniqueness, I guess, I don't know if I hit this, is each team's leads come from their region, but they are open to cross-sell the full enterprise, right? And NASCAR fans do travel, right? So a Daytona 500 buyer may live in Topeka and be a great Kansas Speedway prospect. Make sense? And so it is really one-to-one relationship with one representative to move them up the full product mix ladder. If it gets to partnerships, we'll make the pass off.
I was curious, what impact do the drivers or a favorite driver, does that factor into these at all?
Totally. I think data enrichment's been a theme here, so the more you know about your consumer base, the better. We're unique. We will have driver packages, right, where Chase Elliott's a very popular driver. We may work with Chase to put together a meet and greet in which it would be very advantageous for us to know who's a Chase fan, right, so that we can really target that in our database. But yeah, those factors come into play. I think one major difference pre-outbound sales culture versus now is the big thing in NASCAR was like your favorite driver was retiring, right? The Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr., all of those things. And one belief that I have is you really need that one-to-one relationship to give that customer the opportunity not to leave, right? We have to be able to make the ask to say emotionally, like, just because Jeff's walking away from the sport, you've created so many awesome memories here at our racetrack. We really want you to stay and be a part of building more memories in the future. And I think, that's been something that we've been able to really make a big impact on.
Okay, let's have another round of applause for Nathan.